What up, everybody, and welcome to Baz on Blades. My name is Baz, and I talk about blades, and today we're not talking about blades. Baz on Blades is too worn out to talk about blades. He's been out in his shop nearly all day, working his fingers to the bone. Look at that. You can see bone right there. Look closely. This is in 4K. You can definitely see bone right there, which fits the season because we are coming up on Halloween. So I'm getting my jump on my costumes, working to the bone fingers, man. You'll recognize me, don't worry. So I've been out there in the shop, also known as my front porch, because a tree fell on my shop building. Now, the last couple of days, my cousin Mike and I have been out there working on the shop building. We're going to get the roof straightened out on it. And even though it's not the perfect space for a workshop, I am going to get in there and I'm going to try to work all winter. I don't care if I've got to wear 3 coats while I'm grinding steel. I don't care. I'm getting ready to start grinding out some blades, guys. And I'm pretty damn excited about that. I've been talking about it for years. I might as well do it. I've been talking about it so long. So I've been out grinding today, and I've got a run of pocket crosses that'll be ready in the next couple of days. And I'm going to have a run, hopefully, not dedicated, written in stone yet on these dog tags. And we'll talk about that. I'm going to have this stuff up here for sale, and well, I'll make a video about that. I just want to I wanted to get in and tell you guys a little bit of what goes into this stuff. I get a lot of times when I post my products for sale, there's always 1 or 2 people that expect you to give them your time and your materials, your shop wear and tear. They want you to give it to them for free. So, say any of the pendants that I'd sold, Damascus pendants that I've sold for $50 in the past, there's always somebody that comes in and goes, well, $50, I could buy my own Damascus and make 10 pendants for $50. And you know what? No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't, because guess what? Just my grinder was almost $500. So you got to have tools, not only the material to do these things. And I want to sort of explain why things that you buy from a small maker like me or anybody else, whether it's a custom knife maker, it's somebody making custom fly fishing rods or pull cue sticks, or doing custom work on firearms or building custom cars, or anybody. Their time is expensive because of the time they put into this. Everything that you see here, I will lose money on this. Period. It doesn't matter what I charge for it. I will lose money on this. And it's because I am working my production towards a more timely production manner. And it just takes a long time to do things in a small one-man shop where you got one person, one piece of equipment, one item at a time. Now, let's take, for instance, just one of these pocket crosses. This is in burl maple. Now, Baz on Blades had to go out and find this burl maple. And he didn't just go out and find some stank-ass old burl maple. He went out and found something that was so solidly figured and burled that even on something like a pocket cross, where your biggest cross section is about a 1/2 inch, you've got to have the blam of that figuring in there. So I go out and I look around, and sometimes those woods are expensive. Sometimes I get lucky, they're not too bad. I'm going to be using stabilized woods only going forward on these crosses. It's a a tougher material. Once you stabilize the wood, it's just as tough as a block of epoxy resin at that point, because that's what you stabilize it with. It grinds easier on my crap equipment. Now, I said that, I paid about $500 for my grinder, but an actual dedicated knife maker's grinder, you're looking at about $2,000, $2,500, and that's not fully decked out with the biggest motor and VFT drive, all of that. That's, sort of get into it. You're going to be around $2,000 getting into a fully equipped grinder. So those costs are there. Now, this piece of wood is not $2,000, but it did cost money. The material did cost money. So then I've got this piece of wood. Then you're going to start taking in the time. I've got to take this wood, I've got to take it to the bandsaw, rough cut it to profile, and then I'm going to go from that to the grinder, and that's what I did today. Now, you think to yourself, Baz on Blades, come on, how much time can it take to do something like that? You would be surprised. I actually did some math on this. This piece right here, this pocket cross, has 14 completely separate surfaces that each have to be universally and finely finished. Okay, 14 different surfaces. Now, when you start grinding, you're going to go through a grit progression on your abrasives. With this, I started at 120 grit. I went from 120 to 220 to 320 to 400 to 600 and then to 800. That is a long grit progression, and it is absolutely necessary to get a good final finish without scratch marks in it. So you've got 14 different separate surfaces on this cross. You're going to go through 6 levels of abrasive. That is 84 different times I had to grind on these 4 pocket crosses here, because every surface, say I'm doing the front and the back, or the front and the back, I mean, it's a big piece of figured wood. So I'm going to do that. I've got to go 120 grit. So I go 120 grit on all of these, on all the surfaces. So they go through that. Then I'm going to bring out the 220 grit, and I've got to get every surface, front, back, this flat, 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 this flat. Every surface on this has got to go through every grit progression. Hell, it takes half the day just to change out the belts on the grinder when you're doing that much changing. And that is just these 4 pieces. Now, if Baz on Blades was a rich man, he'd set up a CNC mill machine that he could just CNC cut these to nearly final dimensions, and then all I'd have to do is go in and sand to finish. That would make it a lot better. But I am shaping as I'm sanding, and I've got to go through all those grit progressions. So that is a huge, huge deal on these pocket crosses. Look at this dadgum wood here. This stuff is beautiful. And this is dry too, guys. Once I get these done, now they are, they're stabilized wood, so they won't absorb any type of finish. But what I typically do is I will take these, and once I finish them, and then I'll rub them down with some food grade mineral oil and then wipe that off, and that really makes the grain pop. But you can see right now, these are nothing but solid figuring, the entire thing. And, the beads that I'll be doing tomorrow, they are made out of the cutoff pieces. So when I take this and I cut this piece right here out, what I do is I push this off to one side of my block of wood, and I cut it out to where I get a nice piece over here. And then I've got an entire bag of these cutoffs from the pocket crosses. That's what I'll make the beads out of. The beads are even more fun because I've got to take them, I've got to center drill them to pass cord through, and then I chuck them up in a drill on a bolt with nuts, and then I go to my grinder and I reverse from the belt direction with my drill, and I grind these square pieces into beads. And then all of those beads have got to go 120 grit, 220 grit, 320 grit, 400, 600, 800. So I've got to do all of that just to make the beads. Then I've got to come back and I've got to tie the paracord and all of that. And it all takes time. You can see it's going to take me a couple of full days in the shop to finish these projects. I'm just losing money. I'm just losing money on it. I am doing this to put my product out there because I love to make things. It keeps everybody interested until I get the knives coming in, grinding on them and get them roughed out and sort of refined and get my technique and skill level built up. This stuff is something I can put out there. It's all super well made, you know, if I'm going to brag on myself, and reasonably priced, but I am going to lose money on all of it. So let's talk about these dog tags. This is stainless Damascus, and this stuff is hard as crap. It is not annealed. It is not in its softened state where you would want it to be cutting or grinding on it. But this dot matrix pattern looks fantastic on a slab dog tag type of shape. And these are, I don't know how thick these are. Let's get the calipers of doom here. And I call them the calipers of doom because I bought them at Harbor Freight and they are eventually doomed to fail. So let's see what we've got here. Oh, wow, that's pretty thick. That's 163 thousandths right there. For all you metric guys, that's over 4 millimeters. That's how thick that dog tag pendant is. It has got a substantial weight to it, and that is something that people have always liked in my pendants. I do them out of thick stock. You're not going to get some little rinky-dink, bendable piece of crap from Baz on Blades because I wouldn't want to pay my hard-earned money for something like that, and damn sure don't want you paying your hard-earned money for it. So you'll never see crap like that out of my shop. So this material is not annealed. It is in a hardened state. And I could not cut it with my bandsaw. A brand new name brand bimetal bandsaw blade that cost nearly $40 was instantly trashed out by this stuff. I was able to cut these 3 blanks and another blank that I cut a little larger for a different shape that I am not doing now because I cannot cut it to shape. So I may get 4 of these out. So the next experiment with this is to drill the ring holes. And that's going to be tough right there, guys. That's going to be tough right there. I'm going to have to lower the speed on the drill press, and I'm going to have to use a cutting lubricant, and I'm going to have to take my time because I'm going to have to drill that. I'll have to punch it and center drill it pretty small, and then I'll have to come back and final drill and then chamfer the edges of that. So you're talking about at least 3 drilling passes on this. And then I'll have to go back to the grinder with it because the surfaces of this have not even been ground yet. That's just as they shipped it. That's just as they shipped it. So this will be ground back off smooth, much like this section right here is. And then I'll have to re-etch it. Yeah. Good times there. So I got 3 of those that I'm going to have ready, and I'm just going to have to lose my ass on those. I'm not going to charge a fortune for any of this stuff. I don't give a crap. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about prices now. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of why, when you buy this type of stuff from somebody, is it more expensive? And I want you to think to yourself, when you have one of my products, I want you to think to yourself, Baz on Blades worked his fingers down to the bone, standing over a grinder for hours and hours and hours just to make this for me. And that's the important part right there, guys. That's the important part to me. It is important that you guys know there is a reason that I will charge the prices that I charge for my product. And my prices are always fair. I go out there and see what, better known makers are selling products of the like. And then I just undercut that because my name, I cannot bank on Baz on Blades the same way, a super well-known international maker would be able to bank on their name. My product is just not worth as much as their product. And you know what? That's okay. That's all part of it. That is all part of it. And one of these days, hopefully, somebody will be saying that about me. They'll be like, I can't sell my stuff for the same price that Baz on Blades sells his. He's an internationally known custom knife maker and fucking handsome to boot. He could ask anything he wants for his stuff. Maybe one day we'll have that. Maybe. Anyway, so there you go. Look for an announcement in the next couple of days, 2 or 3 days here, this week at least. There may be a little delay on the pendants because I've got to get the titanium rings in. I'm out of those. I do not make those myself. I buy them from a shop that does rings for people that do chainmail, because I can get the same material over and over and over in the same colors over and over and over from them. Consistency for my people. So there you go. Be looking forward to this. I'll have 4 pocket crosses in the burl maple with matching beads. And of course, this run I'm using espresso colored cordage on it for this. So there you go. I think that's going to look pretty decent. I'm liking that color pretty well. There you go. Be looking forward to these things the next few days. And as always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch one of my videos. God bless all of you, and we will talk to you again.